Hey guys, this is 3.5. We are graphing a line using its slope and y-intercept. We are finding the equations of parallel and perpendicular lines and vertical and horizontal lines. And we are using 3 different equations of lines that all do the same thing. Okay, so you know how to plot points, you know how to find the slope, you know how to find the x and y intercepts, and you know perpendicular and parallel lines, right? So today we are going to practice these skills you have. All right, graph y equals 2 over 3x plus 1. So it's in slope-intercept form. Slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b, where m is your slope and b is your y-intercept, which means where y crosses, where your graph or your line crosses the y. Okay, intercept just means to cross. So where do we cross y? So here, m is 2 over 3, and that means 2 is rise and 3 is run. That means we go up or down 2, we go left or right 3. 2 on the y, 3 on the x, because y is always up and down. This is positive y. Down here would be negative y. Over here is positive x, and down here is negative x. Okay, so 2 over 3 is our slope, and then our y-intercept is 1, which we can also write as xy as a point. The x is always 0 at your y-intercept, and then your y-intercept will be your b. So that means we start the graph, or one of the points of the graph is at 0x, 1y. Okay. And then I use my slope to decide where my next point is. The slope tells me where my next point might be. So it needs to go up or positive 2 on the y, and then positive 3 on the x. Positive 2 on the y, and I can just keep going. Positive 3 on the x. Or negative, a negative divided by a negative makes a positive, right? Negative 2 divided by negative 3 is positive 2/3, right? They're both negative and they're divided by each other, they become a positive. So I can go negative 2 on the y, negative 3 on the x, negative 2 on the y, negative 3 on the x. And that is my line. That is the line of which this is the equation. Okay. So b or y-intercept gives us our first point. So this is my first point. And then the 2 and 3 tell me how to get to the next point. All right, example 2 says graph 3x plus y equals -2. It must first be in slope-intercept form. So we do have something in front of x, and we do have a constant, but if y is not isolated, if we haven't solved for y, those are not our true slope and y-intercept, or we don't know if they are. Okay, so step 1 would be to solve for y, because we want y equals mx plus b form. Y equals -3x minus 2. So now it is in y equals mx plus b form. So our m is -3. And our b is -2. That means our slope, well, let's start with our y-intercept. Our y-intercept is -2 or 0, -2, right? Because that's x and y. 0 on the x, -2 on the y. There's our first point, okay? Our slope is -3. Our slope is y over x, rise over run, right? And what we have is a -3. What would my run be? All I have is a -3. Any number divided by 1 is itself. -3 divided by 1 is -3. So I rise -3, I run 1. Remember, the top number is the y. The bottom number is the x, positive and negative. So down 3, 1, 2, 3, +1. Down 3, +1. Okay. Or we can go up 3, -1. Up 3, -1. Okay. Because that is the same as 3 divided by -1. It doesn't matter if the negative is with the 3 or with the 1. It makes the whole thing negative. And if you notice, this is a negative slope, right? Because we have the -3/1, whereas this was a positive slope. Because it had 2/3, no negatives. Now we have to write, next example says, write an equation of the line with y-intercept 0, -5, and a slope of 2/3. Okay. So we know m is 2/3, and b, what would b be? B is -5, right? It crosses if I was to follow this point, it would be 0 on the x, -5 on the y, so that's where it crosses the y. And b is the y-intercept, okay? So now I can rewrite this as y equals, instead of m, I'm going to say 2/3, x, instead of plus b, I'm going to say -5, because b is -5, okay? So that's all you have to do. We are just substituting in the slope and the y-intercept. You can even check this on Desmos, okay? So if I have, my first point is 0, -5, yeah. And then my slope is 2/3. So that's 0, -5. My slope is up 2, right 3. Let's do it. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Now this point is 3, -3, right? So now in Desmos, I can check and make sure that that equation suits my 2 points, okay? So the equation I found was y equals 2/3 x minus 5. And my points are 0, -5. That looks like it's on the line. And then 3, -3. Also on the line. So I'm okay. That was the slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b. Now we have the point-slope form. You don't know your y-intercept, but you know a different point, okay? You know one point, you know slope, okay? So y minus y1 equals the slope times x minus x1. The point is called P1, and then the x and y value of that point are x1 and y1, just because it's 0.1, okay? Find an equation of the line with slope -2 that passes through -11, -12, and write the equation in slope-intercept form. Okay. So for this point slope form, y minus y1 equals m x minus x1. We need to know what is y1, what is x1, and what is m, right? M is always our slope. So here it says our slope is -2, so m is -2. Our point is -11, -12. The point is always written as x, comma, y, right? So that means -11 is our x, and -12 is our y. And it just has that small 1 because it's our first point. It's the point we know, okay? So let's rewrite this. Y minus, instead of y1, I'm going to put in -12 equals -2 times x minus -11. Each of these negative, minus, and negatives become a plus, right? So let's rewrite it. Now we have y plus 12 is -2 times x plus 11. Now let's distribute that -2. Y plus 12 is -2x minus 22. Okay? And that's just algebra. Now I'm going to, I want it in y equals mx plus b, so I want y alone. Subtract the 12, subtract the 12. Y equals -2x minus 34. Okay, and you're done. So you went from the point slope form to the slope-intercept form. We can check it in Desmos. Make sure that the point -11, -12, is on the line y equals -2x minus 34. It is on the line, so we are okay. Example 5. Write an equation of the line through -4, 0, and 6, -1. Write the equation in standard form. First, find the slope. Sorry guys, the learning curve on this. Very, very big, very steep. All right, write an equation of the line through -4, 0, and 6, -1. An equation in standard form, I will need at least one point, and I need the slope. So to find the slope, I will always use the slope formula. M is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, okay? And these are our 2 points. So this will be our first point, x1, y1. This will be our second point, x2, y2, okay? So I'll just write that off, write that along the side. x1 is -4. y1 is 0. x2 is 6. y2 is -1. And it doesn't matter if you made this one your first point and that one your second point, or you flip them, okay? y2 is -1 minus y1 is 0. x2 is +6 minus -4. So that becomes -1 over 10. Okay? Your slope is -1/10. Now you have, so you found the slope and you have a point. You can choose either point, doesn't matter. Let's do -4, 0, okay? If you have one point and the slope, you can now use the point slope formula. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Y minus right? Y minus 0 is -1/10 x minus -4. That becomes a positive. So now we have y equals -1/10 times x plus 4. Y equals -1/10 x plus 4/1 times 1/10, right? 4 times 1 is 4. 1 times 10 is 10. 4/10. Divide those both by 2. You get 2/5. Does that make sense? So just to be clear, +4 times a -1/10 can be written like this: 4/1 times -1/10, right? And I forgot that negative. 4 times -1 is -4. 1 times 10 is 10. Divide them both by 2, and you get -2/5. So we'll write this again. Y equals -1/10 x minus 2/5. Write the equation. My goodness, we're still not done. Write the equation in standard form. Okay. Standard form is ax plus by equals c. I'm just going to get another piece of paper. So what I have is y equals 1/10 x minus 2/5. And I want to get rid of some of these fractions, right? What is the least common denominator between 10 and 5? It would be 10. So I'm going to multiply everything by 10 to get rid of these fractions. So now I have 10y is 1/10 times 10/1x. Yeah? Minus 2/5 times 10/1. So if I go straight across, 10y is 1 times 10 is 10. 10 times 1 is 10. X minus 2 times 10 is 20. 5 times 1 is 5. We have to simplify these fractions. 10 divided by 10 just becomes 1x. And then 20 divided by 5 is 4. You could also get there a little faster by saying the 10s eliminate, and the 5 becomes a 1, the 10 becomes a 2, and then you have 2 times 2 is 4, 1 times 1 is 1. Okay, so 10y equals x minus 4. We want it in ax plus by equals c form. All right, so that means I need to move the x over here. So I will subtract x. 10y minus x equals -4. That is my standard form. Oh, sorry, gotta put the x first. -x plus 10y equals -4. Wonder if they would mark that wrong. -x plus 10y equals -4. All right, the next one says, write the equation of the line graph. Write the equation in standard form. Standard form is again, ax plus by equals c. You see the line, you want to pick out any points where the line exactly crosses a number, a whole number, okay? And so that looks like 2 on the x, 5 on the y. This one looks like -1 on the x, 4 on the y. And this one looks like -4 on the x, 3 on the y. So those are my 3 points, okay? You only need 2. So you want to find 2 points that look like they are on whole numbers. or composed of whole numbers, then you want to find that slope between the 2 points. So if you have the graph, you don't need to use the equation. You can just count. This is a positive slope, right? So there's not going to be a negative between here and here. And remember, it's rise over run. So the rise looks like 1. And then the run looks like 3. So M is positive 1/3. Okay. So now I have points and I have the slope. If I have points and the slope, I can use this form. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Does not matter which point I use, I'll use the one without any negatives, okay? So the 2 is my x, the 5 is my y. Y minus 5 is 1/3 x minus 2. I'm going to distribute. Ooh. Yeah, I'm going to distribute. I could distribute the 1/3, or I could just multiply everything by 3 right now to get rid of it. All right, anyway, y minus 5 equals 1/3 x minus 2/3. 1/3 times -2 becomes 2/3. Let me show you. 1/3 times 2. 2 is a whole number, so I can put it over 1. And then we just multiply straight across. 1 times 2 is 2. 3 times 1 is 3. So 1/3 times 2 is 2/3. Now, I don't like working with fractions, so I'm going to multiply by the least common denominator. We have a 3 and a 3, so our least common denominator is 3. Now, everything got multiplied by 3, so now I have 3y minus 15 equals, these cancel, right? 1/3 times 3 over 1 becomes 3 over 3, which becomes 1. So we can just say those cancel. So now we just have x, the 3 on the top and the 3 on the bottom canceled. And 2/3 times 3 we can say these cancel and it just becomes 2 over 1. Or 2 times 3 is 6, 3 times 1 is 3, 6 divided by 3 is 2. So you could cancel the 3's and just say 2 on top, 1 on the bottom, or you could leave the 3's and divide it out. Either way you get 2, so x minus 2. And we want it in standard form, so we want the x over here and the 15 over here. So I'll add 15. 3y is x plus 13, and then I'll just move that x. It's looking messy. All right. 3y equals x plus 13, so we're going to move the x. Negative x plus 3y equals 13. Negative x plus 3y equals 13. That looks like our graph. We have the point -13. 0. Do we have the point -1, 4? -1, 4, yay. And we cross the y-intercept at 4.33. Okay. In 1997, Window World Inc. had 50 employees. In 2012, the company had 85 employees. Let X represent the number of years after 1997 and let Y represent the number of employees. So X is years, but it says years after 1997. So I'm going to write that as years minus 1997. Okay. And Y is just employees. So assume the relationship between years and number of employees is linear and write an equation. So all we have right now is some data points, right? We know that in 1997, we had 50. And in 2012, we had 85. So what that is really is just 2 points, right? This is one set of XY. This is one set of XY. So this is 0.1. And this is 0.2. Okay. So 0.1, what is our X value and what is our Y value for 0.1? 0.1 X is years, but minus 1997. So 1997 minus 1997 is 0 for the X. And employees is 50. So 50 for the Y. X1 is 0. Y1 is 50. 0.2. X is years minus 1997. 2012 minus 1997 is 15. And 85 is our employees. So we can say that's our X2, Y2, okay? But look at that, look at the 0, 50. If you were to plot 0, 50, it would actually be a Y-intercept, right? It crosses Y at 50. So we can make our equation hold on. Sorry about that. So our equation is Y equals mx plus b. And we know our b, right? Our b is a positive 50. So Y equals mx plus 50. So now we just want to find our slope. M is always y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, okay? So I'm going to put these in. 85 minus 50, 15 minus 0. 85 minus 50 is 35. 15 minus 0 is 15. If I divide both 35 and 15 by 5, I get 35 is 7. I'm dividing by 5. Dividing by 5. 35 becomes 7. 15 becomes 3. So my slope is 7/3. Y equals 7/3 x plus 50. Right? The company's getting bigger, so the slope is positive, and the company started with 50 employees. Use the equation to predict the number of employees in 2007. So you want to predict the number of employees. Predict Y in 2007. So what is 2007 on X? X is years minus 1997. So X is the only one we can find. And Y is the one we need to solve for. So 2007 minus 1997 is 20 years. And I put that into my equation. Y equals 7/3 times 20 plus 50 employees. Okay? Because it's a word problem, so it's like a real life problem, and we're talking about people, we don't really need to keep it as a fraction, right? We can use it as a decimal, and then we're going to round the decimal. So I would just do 7 divided by 3 times 20. I get 46.6. So I can round that to like 47, right? Y equals 47 plus 50. And 47 plus 50 is 97. Sorry, that was the wrong number. It is 10. 2007 minus 1997 is 10 years. So instead of 47, we're going to round that to 23. 23 plus 50 is 73. So about 73 employees in 2007. Write the equation of a horizontal line containing the point 4, 5. Okay, so last class we did Mr. Slope Guy. Do you remember which of these is horizontal? Horizontal is flat. So a horizontal line will always have a slope of 0, right? And if it's horizontal, let's draw the graph. Containing the point 4, 5. It is a horizontal line containing the point 4, 5. It is only going to pass through the y-axis. It will never cross the x-axis. And remember, if it passes through the y-axis, it has a y in its equation, okay? Its slope is always 0. Where will it cross y? At 0, 5. Because it's going through 4, 5, it's flat, so it's always going to be at 5 for the y. So we know m is 0, and we know b is 5. So our equation would be y equals mx plus b, y equals 0x plus 5, y equals 5. Okay? Write the equation of a line containing the point 4, 5 with an undefined slope. So if we were looking at Mr. Slope Guy again, Undefined is the letter U, so that's his nose, so it's straight up and down. Okay, and it's at the point 4 or 5. Just like the last one. So I'll go out 4, 1, 2, 3, up 5. And it's up and down. So I went out 4. It's still going to be on 4 when it crosses the x-axis. So this was 4, 5, and this is 4, 0, right? So the slope is undefined. It passes through the x-axis. This guy passed through the y-axis at 5. So we just call him y equals 5. This guy passes through the x-axis at 4. So we're just going to call him x equals 4. Okay. Write an equation of the line containing the points -2, 4, and is parallel to the line x plus 3y equals 6. Write the equation in slope-intercept form. If it's parallel, that means they will have the same slope, okay? So the first thing we need to do is find the slope of that first line. X plus 3y is 6. To find the slope, we set it equal to y. -x, -x, 3y equals -x plus 6. Divide everything by 3. So that becomes y equals -1/3 x plus 2. Right? So our slope is just this number. Our slope is -1/3. So that's all we needed this equation for, was to find the slope. And then it has the point -2, 4. So if I have one point and the slope, the equation I want is y minus y1 equals m x minus x1. Y minus y1 is 4 equals m is -1/3 x minus -2. And then we're just going to solve it. So now we have y minus 4 is -1/3 x plus 2, right? And now let's distribute the -1/3. -1/3 x minus 2/3, right? We're multiplying -1/3 by +2. -1/3 times 2/1 becomes 2/3, but with the negative, -2/3. All right, let's get rid of let's get rid of the 3. Get rid of the fractions. You do that by multiplying everything by 3, right? So now we get 3y minus 12 equals -x minus 2. Because -1/3 times 3/1 becomes -3/3, which is -1, -x. Okay. -2/3 times 3/1, same thing. 2 times 3 is 6. 3 times 1 is 3, but it's a negative. 6 divided by 3 is 2. -2. So we have a negative x and a -2. Write the equation in slope-intercept form. That's this form. So I need to move the 12. 3y is -x plus 10. And then we're going to divide by 3. And we end up with y. That was nothing. That's just nothing. Y equals -1/3 x plus, yes, 10/3. There's my equation. All right, last example. Write the equation of the line containing the point 3, -5 and perpendicular to the line 3x plus 2y equals 7. Write it in slope-intercept form. All right, so remember, perpendicular means opposite reciprocal. Perpendicular means opposite reciprocal. Perpendicular would be 3, and perpendicular to 3 would be -1/3. -2/5 would be perpendicular to 5/2. So we have to make it a negative and we have to flip it. Okay, so let's first find the slope. 3x plus 2y is 7. Subtract 3x. 2y is -3x plus 7. Divide by 2. Y equals -3 halves x plus 7 halves. All we needed was to get y alone so that I could see that the slope is -3 halves. So the slope of L1 is -3 halves. That means L2 needs to be perpendicular. We need to flip it. So now it's 2/3 and we need to change the sign. Okay? And it contains the point 3, -5. 3, -5. 3 is my x, 5 is my y. -5 is my y. So now I know m is 2/3, x1 is 3, y1 is -5. I have everything I need for y minus y1 equals m x minus x1, y minus -5 is 2/3 x minus 3. This becomes a big plus. Y plus 5 equals 2/3 x minus 2/3 times 3/1. 2 times 3 is 6. 3 times 1 is 3. 2. Is that okay? So -2. Write the equation in slope-intercept form. Slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. Okay, so I need to move that 5. Y equals 2/3 x minus 7. All right, and now we can put that into Desmos. Y equals 2/3 x minus 7. And it should be perpendicular to 3x plus 2y equals 7. They look perpendicular. And it should contain the point 3, -5. And it does. So we know that that is a correct answer, the only correct answer. That was a long one. That was not easy. Email me with any questions, and thank you for watching. Have a good one.